Hey everyone, welcome back. So today, what is today? Today's Thursday. Oh my gosh. Time is flying by. What did we have happen today? We had MicroStrategy being down quite a bit. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it, and we'll take a look at some articles on it as well. We had miners being down, even though Bitcoin hit a new all-time high, and it's hitting a new all-time high right now. I mean, Bitcoin's at like 98,800 some. We were at 99,390 just like 20 minutes ago or something like that. So we might actually reach 100,000 in my live stream, which would be great. If that happens, I will do the Trump dance for you guys live. If that happens, I'll be celebrating. I'm sure you guys will be celebrating as well. What else we have? We have Gensler leaving Riot, so things are changing. There's a lot of things changing, actually. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. The hash rate hit a new all-time high as well. We got Hive reporting new miners that they purchased, and we also have some news on Bitdeer. So that's the other one that we have a story on. So we have quite a bit to get through here today. Nothing else really material as far as miners reporting their quarterly results. We'll have that, I think, next week. IREN's reporting next week. We're still waiting on Cleanspark to report as well. But yeah, I mean, things are looking great for Bitcoin and other proxies, but miners, oh my gosh, not doing too good, right? So we'll talk about all that as well. But you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for intent only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure down below that. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And here, let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is still on a nice rampage here. Let me see here. Hold on. I'm getting an error here. Hopefully you guys are still with me here. Give me a sec while I fix something really quick right now. Let me see, what can I do? Let's go into, no, I don't want an end screen. I want to do an error. Okay. Technical difficulties. It's saying that I'm running out of space on my computer here. So let me free up some space here by cleaning up some of the old videos that I have on here. All right, and I do have quite a bit, so bear with me. I do apologize for this. I should have been more prepared. Let's see, let's get rid of all this here. Okay, that. Empty the trash really quick. That should erase a bunch of gigabytes here, giving me up more space. Okay, so we should be good to go now. Sorry about that. Let's go back over here and get rid of that technical difficulty screen. Okay. Typically, I do that like once a week where I'll just clean up all the old files that I have on my computer, but for some reason I forgot to do it this week. Okay. But nonetheless, I think it's because I'm just excited with Bitcoin going up. So today, Bitcoin, like we saw on, let's go to the daily chart here. I'm looking at the 15-minute chart. Today, Bitcoin was up nicely. Today was up 4.29%, right? It reached a new all-time high today of 99,073 on this chart, and then we're obviously doing pretty good here so far in the new day as well, which is working out great. Miners, on the other hand, I mean, it just seems crazy, right? How can they be valued this low right now, especially with Bitcoin going to 200,000? I'm sure a lot of you guys are asking that question, right? I'm asking the same question myself. And the only thing that gives me solace is we saw this last cycle as well, where it wasn't until like November, December, where they really started to pick up here. And it could maybe take us into until we get like Q4 results, potentially. I don't think it's going to take that long, but I'm thinking at the latest it would take that long, where the miners then start reporting positive EPS, huge revenues, huge profit margins as well. That's all going to drive the stocks going forward. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But I think, the miners should be doing much, much better based on where Bitcoin is at right now, at close to 100,000, right? We're just shy of, $1,200 of being at 100,000. But yeah, miners were still down. It was another weird day today. The miners were up in the morning, and then later on, they just continued to fall back down. Except for Mara. Mara was up 6.8%. CORZ was up 1.6%. But everybody else, for the most part, was in the green this morning. And then it seems like the money makers, big money, got into it and goes, nope, you're not having fun yet. We're going to drop you down some more. We're going to, put our foots on your necks a little bit longer until we get the positions that we want to get the positions in, and then we'll let it rip, right? When they're ready, they're going to let it rip, I think. So it's just going to be a waiting game, right? Can we outlast them? Then they can outlast us, basically, right? They're waiting for us to capitulate. That's what's happening here. And a lot of people have been capitulating. I've been hearing in the comments here as well and other places that people are, selling out of the miners and going to MicroStrategy, like even yesterday, before we had this big drawdown in MicroStrategy day. And I was telling people then at that point, be careful. MicroStrategy is looking a little overextended with the MNEV, right, which is the value of it, or net asset value to Bitcoin, the multiple there. And things kind of pulled back a little bit today. MicroStrategy came out with news that they are getting another convertible debts. That pumped the stock up after hours as well. So we'll see what MicroStrategy does tomorrow. But I'm still thinking that it is a little bit overvalued. We'll talk about that. We have some articles on that as well as tweets. But MicroStrategy was down today quite a bit here. I mean, it peaked at, what did it peak at today? I mean, you can see that candle. The candle is kind of gnarly right now looking. But it peaked at a high of $543 today, right? And then it had a swing all the way down to a low of, what was the low? Closed low was $371. So, I mean, you're looking at $140 in price today, swing, right, to the bottom, from the top to the bottom as well. And we'll see what happens tomorrow with the announcement that MicroStrategy had today. They're getting some odd number of billions of dollars in convertible debt. That might actually spike the stock up a little bit tomorrow, but I still think that the stock is a little over leveraged a little bit to Bitcoin. They were at, 3 multiple on MNAV. Yes, in the parabolic rise of Bitcoin, it can go up as high as maybe like 6 or 7 MNAV comparison. That's towards the peak usually, and we're not at the peak yet, I don't think, with Bitcoin. We still have a ways to go before things really get hyper in the space. So we'll talk about that in a second here. Other thing I wanted to point out to you guys here, right now, Bitcoin's still looking pretty good. Based on the charts that I'm seeing here as far as the RSI is still kind of high on the daily, right? It's about 80 right now. That doesn't mean anything. We can still go higher. Higher might be that we reach 100,000 and then we fall back down a little bit just to have a little pullback, I think. If we look at the 4-hour chart, I mean, that's still looking pretty good as well. RSI is around 70 right now. We were much higher at this point at 88, and the price of Bitcoin at that point was only 88,000. So we're up roughly 10 to 11,000 from that point, and RSI is lower, so that's a good sign. 1-hour chart, same thing. We're seeing RSI is around 67 right now. It's got room to run up even more from where it's been. If you look at from here to there, it's up higher in price. 15 minutes, same thing. I mean, you can see the bottoms here. I like to look at the bottoms. Last time we were this low on the RSI. On it at 30, Bitcoin at that point was over here at 90,000. So we're up 8,000, almost 9,000 on price and the same RSI values. So things are still looking really good for Bitcoin. I do think we will maybe cross the 100,000 mark. If not tonight, probably tomorrow. We'll definitely touch that, I think. I have a pretty high expectation of that happening, right? Could it be postponed until the weekend or later on next week? Yeah, sure, right? We just don't never know. But it wants to really go up higher, I think, based on what I'm seeing here. All right, but things are changing, like I said. Things that are changing also include the current network hash rate. So we reached a new all-time high on that one. This was actually on November 18th here, so just a couple days ago. We reached 889 exahash on average for the one-day chart. We're down a little bit here now, but if we look at the 7-day average also, we can see that has been coming back up. We reached a new all-time high on the 7-day average, which is 768 exahash. And then check out the 30-day average as well. That's increasing here as well. We are at 735 exahash on the 30-day. So that's in line with what my expectations were for this year, ending around 800 to 900 exahash by the end of the year. And that just means because Bitcoin is up so much right now in value, that some of the less profitable miners, the older generation miners, are probably getting plugged in because you can still make money on them, especially if you have really good cost of power there. So that's also spiking it up. Eventually, I think with difficulty increases and things like that, they will be coming offline later on. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, but we have that. We have probably miners installing machines. We also have, maybe nation states getting into it. Who knows what's going on there? We'll take a look at where it actually ends up for this month at the end, what the average was. But it's still going to be definitely higher from where we were in October, at the end of October at least. Okay, let's take a look at the hash price here as well on this one. Hash price is continuing to rise here. We are up quite nicely here. We are up to $63 per petahash. So that has increased. It's still nowhere near where we were. Let's look at the 1 year here, right? At the peak, this was basically right around the halving event. I'm not even count that, but prior to that, we were at roughly a high here of 119. So we still have a double to go before the miners are back to where they were. The good thing is a lot of the miners have been growing their hash rate and everything else, getting more efficient miners, lowering their, increasing their efficiency as well. So that's going to be a good boom for them going forward as well into next year and beyond, especially as Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, maybe 200, 250,000 at the top, or maybe it could go even higher than that. Who knows? But like I said well, not like I said, but like I said, like I wrote in the thumbnail, right? Changes are coming. We have a lot more things that are good for this industry. The president is going to be looking to get Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. We have, oh my gosh, ETFs. We have nation states possibly buying it. We have pension funds buying it. We have states possibly actually putting it on the reserve before the United States does, actually, based on some of the tweets that I saw today. So that would be exciting there. We have just so much going with us this time around. And then also we get Gensler getting out on January 20th, which we're going to get into here next year. Let's talk about some of the stories that we do have here. But Bitcoin's still up 39%. It's a great month for November for us here so far. We'll see where it ends up actually being. We still have a couple more days in November before it's all said and done. And then December should be a really good month as well for us. So a lot of good is happening here in the space. You just got to be patient, I think. But the stories that we do have here, we got Gensler tweeting today that he's going to be out, right? So CryptoPhone SEC Chair Gary Gensler will quit when Trump takes office. And Gensler's plan to fully leave the commission, not just to step down as chairman on January 20th, answers the major question of whether he'd stick around to defend his policies until the term ends in 2026, right? Why would he stick around to defend his policies? Because they weren't really his policies. They were the policies of the Democrats, basically. Then people like, what's her name, Elizabeth Warren, right? People that were funded largely by large banks and things like that. They didn't want this to go through. They were, look at Chase Bank, what's his name, Jamie Dimon, all the stuff that he said about Bitcoin and everything else. I'm sure he's probably regretting right now, but, it's kind of like, look what they do and not what they say. So he was saying one thing, but they were doing another thing in the background, and we know how that's playing out right now with Bitcoin and everything else. So that's a big change here happening forward. We'll see who we get as the SEC chair in there, as an appointment from Trump, and I'm guessing it's going to be probably more pro-crypto, more Bitcoin. So that's going to be good news for us. That's just another thing that's kind of like a little, what do you want to call it? A check mark, right, for Bitcoin. You get those things done, and it's going to pump much higher. So all good things happening for us. That's why I say change is coming. Next here is we'll talk about Michael Saylor's MSTR decline here today. And that was definitely interesting here. I talked about it yesterday where I thought the value was a little overheated or overvalued based on what I was seeing at least. And some people also were seeing the same thing. And hopefully you got out. As far as where could MicroStrategy end up in, with the latest release of them getting another convertible debt option there, I think the stock might actually go up a little bit more because that means they're going to buy more Bitcoin, right? But they did have a 3x MNAV on the stock. That was pretty high here considering where we are. But here's what we have. So MicroStrategy falls 60% despite new Bitcoin record as some question valuation. There are people also putting a short position on it because it's gone up so high. So the company's market cap this week rose to more than 3 times the amount of Bitcoin it held, right? That's the 3 MNAV there, multiple that I'm talking about here. And down here, MicroStrategy valuation is completely detached from Bitcoin fundamentals, wrote Citron Research Andrew Left. Early in the day, a former bull on the stock who recommended 4 years ago the investors get long Bitcoin by buying MicroStrategy. Left said he remains bullish on BTC, but has hedged by shorting MSTR. So we'll see how that plays out for him. And here's a quote from him, or a tweet, basically. So he writes, how did this one age? Nearly 4 years ago to date, Citron was the first to tell traders that MicroStrategy was the ultimate way to invest in Bitcoin, setting a $700 target. Fast forward to today, MSTR has skyrocketed to over 5,000 adjusted, right, because they did a reverse split. Kudos to Michael Saylor for his visionary Bitcoin strategy. Now with Bitcoin investing easier than ever, ETFs, Coin, Hood, MSTR's volume has completely detached from Bitcoin fundamentals. While Citron remains bullish on Bitcoin, we've hedged with a short MSTR position. Much respect to Saylor, but even he must know MicroStrategy is overheated. All right. So I do think it is overheated at this point right now. We'll have to wait and see how much they buy Bitcoin next week, or if they report that. I'm sure they will. And that might actually pick up the stock a little bit here if they get under. I'd like to see them closer like to 2 MNAV. If they can do that, at that point, I might be actually looking to buy into them as well, because I think in the bull run, they could definitely catch a much higher bid. But right now, I think it's just too early to get that high of a multiple. I could be wrong on this, though. All right, so that's the story there. Let's see. I think there's something else here as well down below. There's another one that wrote, MicroStrategy has officially met my criteria for a textbook parabolic short. Wrote fellowed technician Bracco on X prior to the market open on Thursday. Bracco noted 3 consecutive days of double-digit percentage gains and another major overnight gap higher, among other factors, including that MicroStrategy's dollar volume on Wednesdays topped that of mega cap names like NVIDIA and Tesla, and that leverage ETF dedicated to the stock was the 5th most traded fund in the entire market. Right, so there's a lot of FOMO going into the stock right now. When you see FOMO, people, being really, really greedy. I saw that here with the comments and things like that. People are jumping out of the miners and going into MicroStrategy. I'm like, oh, be careful, because I did think that was kind of high in the multiple and kind of high overpriced a little bit. And that was one of my fears was, you get in now, you might be the exit liquidity for somebody else. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that, I think. Be careful if you're planning on getting back into it. I think we might have a little bit more down to go before it settles and then goes back up. But I could be wrong on that. We could continue to go up because of the latest release from Michael Saylor today stating that they got another convertible debt there as well to buy more Bitcoin. Okay, so that's it on that one. Next, let's take a look at here. Bitdeer also announces a convertible debt. Senior notes. So Bitdeer announces proposed private placement of $360 million of convertible senior notes. I don't have the numbers for them as far as what the interest rate is on that, if they even have an interest rate on it, but we do know it's going to end in 2029 here. So Bitdeer today announced that it intends to offer, subject to market conditions and other factors, $36 million principal amount of convertible senior notes due 2029. And they didn't state the premium that they're paying here, unless I missed it here, but I perused it rather quickly here, so if I missed it, let me know. But the company intends to use a portion of the net proceeds from the offering to pay the cost of zero strike call options transactions and to pay the cash consideration for the concurrent note exchange transaction, each as described below. The company intends to use the remaining net proceeds from the offering for data center expansion, ASIC-based mining rig development and manufacture, as well as working capital and other general corporate purposes if the initial purchasers exercise their options to purchase additional notes, Yes, you read the rest, right? So we're seeing a lot more companies getting into these kind of senior convertible notes placements. That's kind of interesting. We'll see who else joins the fray here. Right, Microsoft's debt they provided, I think it was finalized today, but they provided that yesterday. It's had a really nice impact on it. And could that impact be that when you have convertible debt on your shares, could that mean that people are less likely to short you? Maybe. All right, time will tell. We'll see how Mara does going forward. But, it's had a really good day here today. It was up quite nicely. It was up even more in the early hours than it was in the later hours. But, yeah, let's see. Yeah, Mara was up 6%. I think it was up almost like 12, 13% in the beginning, but then it pulled back with everything else here. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, and then finally, our last story here is going to be on Hive. Hive is continuing to add additional miners here. So Hive Digital Technologies orders an additional 5,000 Canon Avalon A15-194T ASIC miners to boost global mining capacity. So that was good there, and I missed that the other day. So Hive purchases a 5,000 state-of-the-art Avalon A15 ASIC miners from Canon. The additional of these cutting-edge miners will replace older equipment with efficiency of 30 joules per terahash and increase Hive's operational capacity to 6.4 exahash and an industry-leading efficiency of 19.5. I don't think it's going to be industry-leading. I think it will be, I don't think it's going to be industry-leading by that time, by the end of 2025. I think there's going to be other companies that are going to be at a lower joules per terahash by that point. This marks a significant improvement from the current refleet, which operates at 5.6 exahash with efficiency of 22.3 joules per terahash. The upgrade supports Hive's dedication to operational excellence and ROI-driven approach to capital allocation. Right, Hive is great at that. They, like I said before, great operations, great management of their assets and balance sheet as well. The only thing is growth, right? I'd like to see more growth here. So this at least adds a little bit more to them. And I did added these miners here for them. And we'll probably remove some of these older miners here. So we did add these 184 terahash, 5,000 of those, gets them about 970 petahash, almost close to an exahash. And then I removed actually these older generation miners here, which are the S19J Pros and the S19K Pros. And that gets us pretty close to what they're saying about 19 joules per terahash down here by the end of everything, and gets us to 6.4 exahash as well. So that is all in line. Eventually, I will remove those going forward. I just don't know when. Probably maybe for December, I'll start removing some of these older machines here as they get possibly installed at that point. All right, that's it. Let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things here. See if you guys have anything to say, and then we'll see where Bitcoin's at also. Let's take a look at where Bitcoin's at right now. Bitcoin is at 99,000. I wonder if I could, there might be a way I can actually do this and do the Q&A. Maybe not. Let's just do this. Okay, I think I have a way to do this. I think if we do this, split side by side, does that work? Yeah, it does work. Okay, so we'll do this for the Q&A. Right, normally we do this. We'll keep an eye on Bitcoin where it's at right now. But we're in the Q&A section of it all. We're going to watch the Bitcoin price, see where that actually ends up at. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here for you guys so we can see here. That's probably going to be easy to see here. Let me see here. We'll leave it at that, I think. All right, so questions. Preface your questions with a Q or a question in front of it. And actually, I can't do this because I can't see the questions right now on this. Sorry, I can't do that. I have to go back to this Q&A because I don't see the questions otherwise. Yeah, I'll have to do this. Sorry. I mean, we got, is Bitcoin over here on the chart? Probably not. All right, we'll just leave it as is. I'll keep an eye on Bitcoin here, what's going on. Or at least you guys let me know what's going on Bitcoin in the chart, in the chat. Giving me a little time to get through some of these earlier questions, and then we'll try to rocket through everything else. All right, what do we got here? Going to start at a certain point here. Okay, here we go. So this is where I'm starting. If your question was before then, please repost your question. All right. Do you think in this environment, if Cleanspark or IREN announce a new ATM, that will be proof of CEO brain drain? Good question there. If they can get, now here's a question on this. If they can get the convertible debts, right, at a pretty good rate or at zero, but not have the premium be up like 55%, we saw with some, was it Marathon that had a 55% premium? No, MicroStrategy had can't remember who now. Somebody had like a 55% premium on where the stock was trading. If they can get that lower, okay, that might be a good way to go about it. And I don't expect them to report an ATM anytime soon, at least. I think they still have an ATM that they can pull on. But either way, yeah, they shouldn't do an ATM right now because the miners are just getting, they're not getting hammered, but they're not doing as well as we would think. So ideally, maybe wait until the miners are up, 2x, 3x from where they are right now, and then do the ATM, which is, I think, is going to be a far lesser blow than it would be right now. Let's see here. Meat4 says, hey Seb, saw a few people getting a bit nasty towards you in the chat yesterday. People are getting fearful and taking it out on you. Just ignore them. You're doing an awesome job. Keep it up, mate. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, and then I mean, I understand that there's going to be people that are not of the same mindset, maybe, right? Thinking of, I'm positive, so I'm going to be positive regardless, I think. I always try to look at the brighter side of things instead of the negative side of things. And maybe that's, maybe that kind of irks people sometimes. All right. Oh, let's see what other questions we have here. Okay, question. If IREN, oh, we already talked about that. Okay, got that one. All right. Mark, question here. If all miners do convertibles, wouldn't the entire sector rise? It should, yeah. In theory, it should, yeah. More Tim, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Let me see. Okay. I appreciate all the comments, guys, all the praise, all the kind remarks. Thank you. What else here? Question, okay. Year-to-date comparison, MicroStrategy 10x, but at the same time period, Cleanspark Riot 19% and 23. Can investors with mining stocks expect 4 to 5x? Thanks. I think so. We can still expect 4 to 5x on these guys going forward. I think we're in this kind of weird place right now where there's a lot of hype around MicroStrategy, and then people are getting into that, and then they're also possibly doing a trade pair on it. So long MicroStrategy, short miners, or long Bitcoin, short miners, whatever it might be. Because we're just seeing things that shouldn't be. Like today, Bitcoin was up, miners were up in the morning, but then within half an hour to an hour, they all started coming down, which was just crazy. And we've seen this a couple times already in the past week or two. Does not make sense. But yeah, some of the miners, let me see if I can pull that chart up. Let me see, 12 months chart, stock performance here. You can see that some of the miners have done pretty well here. This is depending when you got into them, right? If you got into them this past year, this past couple months, yeah, you're probably kicking yourself for doing that. But take a look at this. I like to always look at this just to kind of remind me where we were, where we came up to. If we look at from the beginning of 2023, which is kind of where they bottomed out at, you got Terrawolf up 884%, Cypher up 867, Iris up 716, Marathon 611, Cleanspark 545. So if you got into them earlier on, a lot of people I know didn't do that. I was buying these guys since January of 2022. So I dollar cost average all the way down through the bear market, and I'm sitting in a lot better place right now. But if people are chasing these things, trying to jump on when things are looking like Bitcoin's going to go parabolic and things like that, that's when you can get hurt. I mean, we saw a lot of these guys get much higher to where they are from where they are right now. And people got into it then, and they're all mad about it right now. I understand, right? You got in a higher price. Okay, you're gonna be mad. You're gonna be upset about it. But that's why you really have to time as best as you can when to get into these things. Because if you get in the wrong time, yes, you're gonna get hurt and wrecked possibly on that one. So there's a lot that goes into this. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Hey, so Bitfarms seems to lose its correlation with Bitcoin when it comes to price action. With that said, which is more realistic, Bitfarms reaching for a share or dipping to $1? I don't think it's going to go down to $1. I mean, unless Bitcoin starts doing a correction here at 100,000, we could be at that point going down on the miners still. But to $1, I don't think so. On that one, I would think $4 would be a higher probability. Let's see here. YOLO, thank you so much. I try to look at it from both ways, and I don't want to hype you guys up. I know I do provide you guys with what I think the prices should be on the stocks, but those are, I think, conservative for the most part. If things play out the same way that they play out in other cycles, if this is a completely different cycle, then yes, I'm going to be way off. Okay, let's see. Cleanspark going down further. Looks like it wants to get to the $10 region. There is, let me see if I can pull this up. I think there are some gaps. I don't know if they want those to get filled or not. You can see it on Cleanspark here. This is on the 15 minutes. Let's go to the daily here. There's a gap right here, right between 10 and 11 on Cleanspark. I don't know if that wants to get filled. It could be possibly here. We saw that also, I think, on some of the other ones here. Mara has a gap here as well. Probably a lot of these guys have a gap here. This one looks like by IREN's getting filled partially here, at least today. But there's a gap right there. Let me see, Wolf. There's a gap in Wolf, but Wolf looks like it's almost gotten filled there today. So it might be that we need this gap filled on these guys, and then we go. I don't know. That's why I don't really like Bitcoin going up in price a lot on the weekends, because then we do end up with these kind of gaps happening. I don't think this was on a weekend. This was on a Tuesday that we had a run up here. But nonetheless, I don't like gaps. Gaps like to get filled. Okay, there's that. All right, let's see. Andrea, thank you so much. I'm not going to read your comment, but thank you so much. I just kind of perused it here. Let's see. Okay, question. What is your price exit for IREN? At what price do you think is a fair sell exit? Oh, I think it's much, much higher from here. But we're still so early in this cycle right now that I still have a strong belief that it's going to play out the way we thought, where Bitcoin is going to go up higher. The miners are going to do at least 3 to 5x from where they are right now at the bare minimum, or conservative estimate at least, right? At that point. If it's not, well, then it's all for naught, basically. All my research, everything else, that was just a waste of time. I did get to meet a bunch of you guys here, which you guys have been great. But yeah, I still think that we're still early in this. I think we'll do great going forward. It's just patience. I think the big money is trying to wean us down, break us down for us to capitulate. Okay, let's see. Eddie says, unfortunately, we would have to wait until Q4 for the full repricing miners. We will have to hope BTC continues rising through January, February, and hopefully March for Q1 earnings as well. Yeah, we would get Q1. Yeah, you're right. We would get probably around then. If it's going to take that long to reprice, I just don't, I mean, usually the investors are forward looking, right? If we're in Q4 right now, and you're seeing that the miners are getting, maybe 50% profit margin, 60% profit margin on this stuff with all full in cost on it, those are really good margins there. Bitcoin continues to go up higher, and they're actually increasing their hash rate and everything else. They're just generating so much more revenue. That should be more forward looking, I would think. All right, let's see here. Next question. Have you seen XRP? What are your thoughts on it as it's the only one regulated? I haven't taken a look at XRP recently. I know it's in the past was trying to get trying to get XRP to be used as a SWIFT payment system. I never bought into that. I'm like, why would banks do that? I know some banks have signed up for it, but I'm thinking big banks are going to just do their own thing. They're going to create their own token and do it that way. Why go through XRP? All right. Let's see. Yeah, big money shorting miners and then go long in BTC. Yep, that's kind of what we're seeing here. Why was the whole miners market down today? It's shorts, basically. It's arbitrage. You go long on MicroStrategy, you go long on Bitcoin, and you short the miners because it just does not make any sense otherwise. I mean, we're seeing it. Bitcoin's going up, miners are going down. Beginning of the day, they're going in the morning, they're going up, and then finally when the big guys wake up, they're like, oh, things are running up, but we gotta short them a little bit more, bring them down. It's just nuts. Okay, there you go. Question, what do you think of this? For IREN next earnings, they could announce U.S. domicile to do convertible note for growth. No ATM, 26, 27 exahash starting HODL BTC now because of SVG since U.S. domicile. Yeah, that would be great if they do that, right? All right. Let's see here. Hey, so wouldn't it make more sense for the miners to hold their Bitcoin instead of selling to drive scarcity, increase stock price, and position themselves like MicroStrategy? Thank you. A lot of the miners are doing that already, right? You got Cleanspark have been holding pretty much this year everything that they mine. Same with Riot, Marathon. The other ones have been selling more. Others have been adding to it. But yeah, a lot of them have been holding more than they have in the past. But there's still quite a few that have been selling, right? IREN, TerraWolf, who else sells all the time? CORZ sells all the time right now, recently as well. But yeah. Let's see. Andre asks, when you have convertible notes, the stock price needs to reach a strike price so the buyers of the notes won't short the company. If the offering is very large, like MicroStrategy 2.6 billion, they short proxy. Yes. Yep. All right. Let's see. Question, can you please check when miners lagged last cycle and when did they start to take off? Yeah, we can do that right now in the charts. So let's just take a look at it here. I'll pull these guys up on the chart. We can take a look at it here. So let's see. Charts, we'll use Bitcoin as the one to peg them against. Let's do year to date on it just to see that. And we'll add a couple miners in here. So let's add, where's that? There we go. We'll add IREN. No, IREN was not trading at that time either. Cleanspark was just basically a baby miner at that point. I wouldn't count them in there. We'll add Mara. We'll add also Riot into it. Hut 8 was also trading at that time, and Hive. So we'll add them. Bitfarms was also in there as well, I think. So we'll add them to the scale as well. All right, let's take a look at it here. So if we go far enough back, let me get rid of some of the lines here, make it a little bit easier to see. Where are we at? 23, 22, 21. Okay. 21, 20. Where did we have the halving event here? Halving happened. I needed the line drawn here. We're going to 19, 20. There it is. Okay, 20. Here's the halving event, right? You can see that the miners, for the most part, from where they bottomed out, let's go forward to the halving event here on the time clock. All right, we're right about, all right, there's the halving event right there, right? You can see here that the miners, for the most part, I mean, they were up only, I mean, they were still up, right? But they're up also this year as well. November, it seems like they started running towards the end of November, which is kind of like where we are right now, right? November 20th here. You can start seeing that these guys are, you can see it on the lines, hopefully, that they are going up, and then even more up, and so forth and so on. So it's right around this time when they actually started to run. Let me get rid of some of these lines. Maybe that might help. But yeah, I mean, you can see after the halving event, they were pretty much flat here with Bitcoin. One took off a little bit here was Marathon. Went up a little bit here, was up. And then it's fallen back down. And then it was up. So things were slightly going up. And then we really had that rocket afterwards. So right around this time frame is when we really should be going. That's what I'm saying. If we're delayed a little bit, we did have the halving event happen. What was it? Actually, a month earlier in April instead of May of that, right? It was May that we had that halving event. So, I mean, we really should be going up right around now. But we may have to wait another month or so before things really take off. But this is when they've done it in the past. Okay, going back here to questions. Okay, question. Bitfarms end of year, 16 exahash, 130,000 bit stock price. I would think at that point, right? But what I think doesn't always materialize into the markets. But I would think it being at 16 exahash, so that would be a 5 exahash increase for them, 130,000 Bitcoin. They're going to be generating some decent revenue at that point. I mean, I would think that they would be at least $3 to $4, if not $5 at that point. But time will tell. Let's see here. Yeah, Riot has 1 billion BTC. Absolutely. Let's see here. Hello, sir. Bitfarms has tested my patience. Is there any possibility that it doubles in January 2025? Doubles in January? So you're looking at $4 roughly, depending where Bitcoin's at that point. Maybe. I would give it a 50-50 chance. Okay. Based on your numbers, should Cleanspark hit their earnings projections? I don't know what their earning projections were. I know that they are going to be roughly, based on my numbers here, let me pull that up. Cleanspark here. All right, let's go back to this. Cleanspark, what's the revenue going to be for the quarter? I'm looking at around 89 million, 89.4 million for the quarter. And you can see here, I've been pretty close to what they report. So I don't know what their estimate was, or the targets was going to be. Projections for the quarter. Here for the year, it's going to be for them. Let me see. We got one. Actually, I probably should use that number over there. That one, and that one. And we're at 379 million in revenue for the year. So I'm not sure what their projections were. Okay, talked that. Crypto Shark, don't know what Tectum is. Because okay. Andrea, thank you so much. See, question. Are you willing to admit you have been absolutely wrong with the Bitcoin miners' predictions and gaslighting your viewers when they can't call you out? When you call me out, I will tell you. I told you that yesterday. Thanks for coming in again, though. I was expecting miners to be doing much better than they have been. I didn't take into consideration the short interest on them this time around, with people getting into MicroStrategy and Bitcoin as well. I was wrong. I'm more than happy to admit that I was wrong. We can only go by what we saw in the past cycle and what we think was going to happen this cycle as well. And right around now is when we should be going up. So, okay, let's see. Question, hello Seb. Have you heard from a short report from Citron? I talked about that in the beginning of the show. MicroStrategy dropped 60% in your past experience. Does this stock usually come back after these short reports? I don't know about the short reports. I know that when it gets overheated, like it has in the past, it has come down to more of a reality when to the MNAV number, right? The multiple there. But yeah, it's definitely gone, I think, too high. I think we need a pullback. I don't know if it's going to be the case here this time around. MicroStrategy came out with another convertible debt that they're getting here. They're going to be buying more Bitcoin next week probably, or even buying it today. Who knows? So they're going to increase the number of Bitcoins that they have there. So the MNAV is going to increase probably. And we'll see where that ends up at. Let's see. Question, what's the bull case for IREN? Huge growth, right? A lot of megawatts to go also. And really efficient miner. They've been doing a lot of great things here this year for them. They also have a potential that some of their sites could be used for HPCI. They could sell some of those sites. They could lease some of those sites. There's potential there. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Do you think Wolf will also pump? What were your thoughts about the miner? Wolf, I'll be honest with you guys, right? I didn't like the debt that they had. last year. They've paid that off, which was nice. I did like the fact that the CEO came out there on Anthony's and Bryce's channel and talked about how they are also large shareholders, and they're not going to dilute shareholders to pay off the debt. What did they do? They actually paid down the debt by dilution, which is fine. I was all for them. Like, just dilute the shares, pay off the debt. You're going to be in better shape. And then the hype around the HPCI, I hope to get somebody there, right? Because the stock has had a huge run up there. So for the sake of the investors there, I would want them to have a huge deal there that would warrant that kind of hype around the stock. Otherwise, I'm afraid that if they don't have a huge deal there, the stock's going to probably come down because that's what it's hyped on right now is that deal. What else? And then their growth here. Their positioning board for its HPCI looks like that's kind of what they're targeting. That's what they're wanting to go after. They are still getting to like 10, 13 exahash sometime in the next 6 to 12 months. So there is a little bit of growth there. But yeah, I'd like to see more growth in Bitcoin mining. I wish they would also hodl a little bit more, but they don't hodl. So those are just some things there. Let's see. Question. Okay. What price do you see IREN being? I feel like they will do better than Bitfarms possibly at this point, but I don't want to sell any miners at this point because I know they are going to rip. Yeah, I think they're going to do better than, price-wise, they're going to do better than Bitfarms, right? I still think that IREN could get to like, my original target was 60, 70, right? Somewhere around there. 70, I think it was 70, 80 actually, my original one. But dilution happens, things like that. I want to see what their dilution has been since they report their quarterly results next week. So yeah, I think as long as Bitcoin goes well, the shorts cover on these miners, I think they'll do great. Yeah, I already covered that one. Okay. Question: do you think every miner should start doing MicroStrategy playbook? Literally would cause a short squeeze and short sellers will leave them alone. Also add in the mixture of mining at cheap prices. Yeah. I mean, some of these guys do, right? That's why I'm surprised that before Mara, before they did the convertible debt, that the stock was, going downwards, right? But because they had a convertible note there that's due in 2026. So I was thinking, why would they short it? But who knows why? But they also have a huge hodl position there. And then you also have Cleanspark with a huge hodl position. You got Riot with a huge hodl position. Hashrate ATH as well. So if it was because of the hodl there, those should have done at least much better than some of the other ones have. And that's not the case. Everybody's going down. So I think it's just across the board. Okay. Question here, Seb. How long must we suffer? Oh gosh, I wish I knew the answer to that. I do not know. I'm giving it until basically like January, February at the latest. If things don't start picking up for the miners by that time, we are definitely in a different paradigm or different cycle than what we've seen in the past. All right. Hey Seb, will you still hold Bitfarms and IREN if they offer another ATM in 2025? In 2025, yes. It's going to be used for growth, right? Then we know that they're going to be growing. They're growing to, Bitfarms was supposed to get to 21 exahash by the end of this year, but now it looks like it's going to be sometime next year. IREN was supposed to getting to 30 exahash, right? And then like 40 exahash sometime in Q1. And then if we want to go beyond that, they will have to dilute to grow. Unless Bitcoin really starts ripping and their stock goes up much higher than that point, they can possibly sell the Bitcoin that they mine and fund the operations that way. But that would still, I think, require some dilution there. Okay. Let's see. Mike says, simply Wall Street has Mara at a fair value of $154. Wow, that's way up there. Hope for you guys it gets up there. Okay. Question: will Mara hit 100,000 this cycle or $100? Maybe. It's a possibility depending where Bitcoin goes. And like I said, we need the shorts to cover on these miners. Right. Let's see. Okay. Question: do you still see the bull run ending in 2025? If we look at historical cycles, that would be right around where we would expect it to end. This cycle could be different. And I've talked about this probably for the last 3 or 6 months, whatever it might be, that with all the institutional investments, the ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, and everything else that's happening here, we could be in for an extended cycle. And the reason I thought about it in the beginning was if you look at Gold, right? The gold ETFs that came out. What did the gold? What did gold do in general, right? It went up for a number of years before it kind of leveled off and stayed that level, kind of bounced around a little bit, but it took a couple of years for it to get to that point. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe if the ETFs with Bitcoin, could that be a multi-year trend where we go up in value? And we won't know until we get past this, get past 2025 and see where Bitcoin's at, right? Is Bitcoin crashing down to, going down 80%, 50%, whatever it might be, historically what it's done? Or does it just go down 20, 30% and continues to go back up? So we'll have to wait and see. Okay. Was MicroStrategy or MicroStrategy this popular last cycle? They were popular, but not this popular, right? Last cycle was kind of when he created this whole thing. So it was just the beginning of it, and stock did very well last cycle as well. It was at 7 NAV, I think it was, at the peak, when Bitcoin peaked at 69,000 or something like that. And then it's obviously fallen down like everything else. Okay. Especially when do you think the shorts will exit and Bitfarms starts going up again? I don't know. I don't have any friends in the industry, so I have no insight into that. But we saw Mike Alfred selling MicroStrategy here recently, so maybe he has some insight there. And he was selling it yesterday. And what did the stock do today? It went down, right? So is there some insight into that? I don't know. Okay, let's see here. Why are Bitfarms still diluting, and what are they doing with the money? They diluted at least another 20 million shares as OS just updated from 453 to 472. What are they doing with the money over $300 million? Well, they're battling Riot, right? They're building out sites in Paraguay and elsewhere. They're buying Stronghold. They're getting new machines. That all costs money. So there's a lot that goes into it. Because they are sure an increasing hash rate. Yeah, and I know, but sometimes you need to build out in order to install. So, but there's also a lot of things in the background going on as well. Okay, question. I already talked about that. Cherry picking data, yes. We all cherry pick data. See, if you're not happy, there's other places that you might be happier at. I don't want you leaving, but just want to make sure that you're happy. All right, what else we got here? Question. Okay. What do you think Bitfarms' biggest problem is not reaching their exahash? The faulty miners. Do you think they will get to 12 or 13 on December 1st? Well, that's kind of what I want to see there, right? So I think part of it was the faulty miners. That was one thing, and the repairs being done under warranty work by Bitmain. The other thing might be, Paraguay. Paraguay is still an unanswered question for me, right? Is there issues with Paraguay? They did state that they're not prolonging. What's the right term? They're moving the date on energization in Paraguay to, what did they say? I think, was it February or March, I think. They're moving it out like a month or two, something like that, from when it was originally supposed to get energized. And they're stating that they have, 4 months to get that site up and running to full potential for testing. So I don't know if it's that because they're building out 2 sites there, or not. It's one site, but they're doubling the size of it. I don't know if that's because they might not be able to reach it in time. And that's the reason why. I just don't know on that one. Let's see your thoughts on our Cleanspark earnings coming up. I think they're going to be in the red for EPS because Q3 wasn't great for the miners, overall. All right, what else we got here? Let's see here. Bitcoin's still at 99,000. Come on, 100,000. I'd like to see that get here in this stream. All right. So do you think Bitfarms can touch 15,000 Bitcoin currency? No. 150,000. Right now, the way things are looking, I don't think so. We would need Bitcoin to be probably over 200 to 250,000 at that point, right now at least. Unless the miners really do surprise me here in the next couple of weeks and we just go off like a rocket, which could happen. Anything's possible with these guys. Let's see. It says lesson learned. If you want to invest in miners, you better do it a few months before the halving, or at least 6 months after the halving. Well, if you did it a couple months before the halving, remember the miners were up this cycle. It was different from last cycle. The miners were up in price going into January and February of last year, or this year. And then we had the halving cycle. So try to get them when they're most beaten down. When everybody's fearful on them, when they're looking like crap, that's usually the best time to get into them, dollar cost average into them at that point, and then hold on to them through the cycle. But we have to make sure that this cycle is the same as we had in prior cycles. Right now, it's still looking like it, but it's definitely testing our conviction. So Seb, can you sell shirts that say Gales like to be filled? What's Gales? Is that Gales is that gaps? Gaps like to get filled? Maybe that's where gaps like to be filled. Yeah, if I ever do a merch store, that might be one. Gaps like to get filled. That might also be construed in the wrong way by some, by the opposite sex, maybe. Maybe my brain's just going in the wrong direction here with that one. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hi, Seb. Should I sell Bitfarms and buy CORZ instead? That is going to be up to you, right? If you lost conviction in Bitfarms, then yeah, go ahead and sell it, right? Because there's nothing less than holding something that you don't have conviction in, because you're going to be second guessing yourself the whole time. So if you lost conviction, yeah, I would sell and get into CORZ. I think CORZ is going to do very well going forward. They're going to have a lot of revenue coming in next year when they energize the sites for CoreWeave. So I think that one's going to be a good one to have. Let's see, many people missing out on CLSKW. This will fly to the moon very soon. Yeah, I'm surprised how well it's doing, man. It's up huge here in the last couple of days. All right, let's see. Plan B, stuck to flow. BTC in the next 4 years, 250,000 to 1 million, possibly. Yeah. There, okay, yeah. That's kind of what I was going with. Like, gaps need to be filled. Yep. So do you regret selling CORZ? Not yet, no. I was up 100% on it. I took the profits, put it into the miners. I think that the miners were more undervalued. I still think the miners are more undervalued right now. But time will tell, right? All right. What else here? Okay, let's see here. Hi, Seb. Long time no see. You probably got asked this question already, but I'm really frustrated with how Cleanspark's been performing. What do you think is going on? It's that pair trade where you're long Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, and you're trading, shorting the miners. That's what's going on there. The miners are just getting beat down by the shorts right now. All right. Okay, let's see here. I have a question. I have to agree on repricing next year in spring. Hedge funds and institutions are scrambling because of Sailor and Bitcoin causing chaos. Do you think volume miners benefit most from higher BTC volume miners? You mean like the ones that generate more Bitcoin? I would think so. I think that's what you're asking there. Okay. Okay, question. What exactly doing convertible notes means? Is it a way to avoid diluting, or at the very least dilute less? I know it's not, well, I should rephrase that. You'll still get possibly diluted, right? But you're going to dilute it at a higher premium of the price of the stock at that point. So it's kind of like a promise that the stock is going to go up to, 55% for MicroStrategy, I think it was, from where it was today on it. So you're saying that you're going to get shares if stock reaches at that point, right? But now you're getting all this money that you can grow or buy the Bitcoin for it. That's the way I understand it. The other option is that you could possibly pay them off, right? But some of these debts are 0%. So, I mean, people are not looking to get paid back. They're looking to get equity, to get shares in the company, further down the road here. So, yeah, I think it's still a dilution. It's just a different form of dilution. Okay. Let's see. Seb, do we Cleanspark cross 60 this peak cycle? I still think that's the case, right? Historically looking, that we would possibly get there. But time will tell on it, unfortunately. We are in this weird case, like we just talked about, the hedge on the miners. We need that lifted. We need that rotation to happen from, well, I mean, not Bitcoin, but like from MicroStrategy and others maybe, into the miners. And at that point, they're going to rip. Yeah, Rick says, eventually the big money has to let the miners run. They are the only source of new Bitcoin. At the rate Bitcoin is being bought, it won't be long before exchanges are out. Yeah. See what the hell's going on with the Cleanspark target buying the dip. The dip is much longer prolonged than what you thought it was going to be, that's for sure. But in a way, it's good. If you have the cash to do it, it's, I know it's painful and not pleasant to do. I was doing it for almost, 3 years, buying the dips on these guys. And I'm still going to buy some more if I get some more cash. Okay. Sarmelon says, Bitcoin is due for a 10 to 20 correction and the miners are going to get wrecked. We are still several months at the earliest until miners start performing. Then after March, we have sideways summer. Well, depending on what cycle you look at, the one that we had, where is it at? Let me pull this up here. On this one, it looks like the cycle that we had in, where was it at? 2016 into 2017. I mean, if you look at that one, April, May, June, July, August, miners ripped through that part as well. And then you had really good, so depending what kind of cycle we have, it could be a really good one also. It could be a lot of front-ended pain like we have right now, and then just a lot of green happening in the future. Nobody knows that for a fact. But that's just me being positive again. Let's see. See if there's any more questions. Okay. Let's see. What else? Bear with me while I try to find some more questions. You guys have a lot of comments here between each other. Okay. There we go. Question, Seb. If Bitcoin doubles from here, is it safe to believe that miners will at least 3x? Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin goes from 100,000 to 200,000 now. I would say at the very least, I would think that'd be the case. Right? Unless they're still at the same levels, then it's like, put a bullet in me at that point. Mark, see you next Tuesday. But all right, have a good weekend. Be safe out there. Let's see. Roger said MicroStrategy already overnight 12%. Yeah, we'll see what it does tomorrow morning. Right, if people are shorting it, maybe they're covering the shorts. Okay, let's see. Seb, have you added or sold from your ETH position this year? I have not. No. All right. What else we got here? Okay. Hey, Seb, I think you skipped my question. Can you scroll back, please? Let me see if I skipped it. What did I skip? I don't want to scroll too much because I'm going to get lost from where I ended up here. If I did, please repost. I'm trying to get through all the questions here. Let's see, Par, there you are. Okay. Ian, it seems to me the miner space is just a big liquidity grab until year 3 of the BTC bull run. When they flip from shorting, we should win. Do you agree? Hit the like button. Thanks, person. Yeah, I think so. Right. Well, year 3, I mean, we should be in, after the halving event, usually the miners do really well 6 months plus after that. And we're just now at 6 months now. So we need to give it a little bit more time, possibly. Maybe I was thinking a little bit too fast on this. Okay. All right. Hi, so I'm now realizing that our projections when BTC around 100,000 with miners, hash rates gone up, balance sheets looks good, but stock price is down. Yeah, it's definitely off from where I thought it would be for sure. Okay. All right. Question, what is the number of shares shorted for Riot? For Riot, let me pull that up. Shorted numbers for us. Where is it at? Shorted. This is as of, I think 10:15 is the latest that I have on these guys here. So that's the best I got on it. Current number of shares shorted for Riot was 46 million. That is, percent of average float was 15% for them at that point. Okay. That's as of 10:15 data, which gets, maybe we might have I don't know. I'll take a look at it so we have the latest data on the shorts for 1031 at that point. Let's see. Or no, this is as of 1031. We don't have the latest data here for the 1115. Sorry. That's the way it goes. All right, go back to Q&A. What else here? Okay. Eddie's question. I did some calculations. Price of 125,000 euro will be making over 46 million before cost, and assuming global exahash is 850 and 31 exahash is 486 coins. They can fund 1 exahash per month without dilution. Thoughts? Yeah, if they can do that, I mean, that's only 12 exahash for the year, as long as Bitcoin stays where it's at. Bitcoin goes up, yes, they could possibly fund a little bit more. At that point, yeah, so it is possible. That's why they've been selling Bitcoin for the most, well, they have been selling Bitcoin every time, just to fund operations that way so they don't dilute as much. But they've also been buying, remember, they've also been buying the the GPUs, the H100s, the H200s. Those are expensive. Some of the cash goes towards that as well. Let's see, Roger says, Cleanspark end of last year went from $4 to $24. Don't fade the best miners. Yeah. It doesn't take much for these guys to run. All right. What else we got here? Okay. What is your price point for CORZ, and is your father still holding? Yes, he is still holding it. We were talking about it I think it was last week. We were talking about whether or not we should, or he should actually sell it. And I told him, you know, we can sell it, but all it takes for CORZ, I mean, CORZ I think is going to continue to go up. I just don't know exactly where they're going to end up at. But I think it's going to continue to go up in value, because as we get closer to them having the energized sites for CoreWeave, they're going to start generating revenue at that point. It's going to be huge revenue for them. And what if they, you know, also increase their hash rate for Bitcoin mining and get other sites and possibly get other customers? I mean, there's just a lot of potential here for CORZ. So he's still holding right now. All right. Trying to find another question. Okay, here's a question. Let's see. Question: Dan Roberts stated that once fully built out, Childerus can have up to 155 exahash alone. What are your thoughts of what they can do with their secure Texas site? Well, yeah, I mean, they can do it from Bitcoin mining and possibly have some HPCI business there as well. I mean, they have a lot of possibilities there. That's why I'm invested in them, as well as Cleanspark and Bitfarms. But yeah, I mean, that's huge for them, right? That's, what is it, 1.4, 1.6 gigawatt facility potentially there. All right. All right. Saur asks, if miners ever run, do you think their runs will be more aggressive than MicroStrategy? I would expect it to be that way, right? Last cycle, Marathon was up 70x. Riot was up, what was it, 30 some odd X. Others were up 17X from the bottoms. So yeah, we're not there yet. I would expect it to happen, yeah. Let's see, question. No way the miners won't run the cycle. At the very least, you will get at least a 3x from each miner from its current price. Yeah, they got to run. It's just a matter of when. Yeah, they got to definitely make up their money here. All right. Let's see here. Based on how this cycle has played out, would you exit miners earlier than originally planned? Example, exit Cleanspark if it hits 20 instead of holding further. Redeploy capital somewhere more efficient. Thank you. I mean, getting 20 from where it's at right now, yeah, I don't think so. I'd still be holding on to it. Unless Bitcoin starts going in reverse, going downwards, right? We get to 125 and that's the peak, then yeah, we're SOL at that point. We're not getting to the targets that I thought we're getting to. Okay, let's see here. We expected at least a 2x when Bitcoin hit 100,000, but here we are going down. Will IREN survive by not hodling any Bitcoin? They will survive. They've survived this long. I think they will. I think it's, I mean, we saw it earlier this year when they expanded their hash rate this year to 30 exahash by the end of the year and improved their timeline on getting to 20 exahash, right? What did the stock do? I mean, the stock doubled in like a week or two, I think it was. And then it went on even further, but eventually pulled back because we're getting into the bear market, or post-halving bear market for the miners. Let's see here. Donald Trump is thinking is thinking go of creative team of crypto experts. Do you think that they can help push bills that helps U.S. Bitcoin miners get funding? I mean, they can already get funding, but it's higher interest, and you can't force somebody to give you a loan at a lower price because the government tells you to do it, right? Especially for businesses, on those types of things. So I don't think so. The only thing that's going to do that, I think, is if Bitcoin stays or stabilizes more so, right? So where the revenues are more stabilized instead of these huge peaks and valleys in Bitcoin, that I think is the only thing that would be a catalyst for the miners to possibly get good funding through regular debt at a reasonable rate. Okay. Let's see here. 9-7 says gold up for 8 years. Was that after the ETFs? Is that what you're talking about there? I'm trying to catch up to the questions. Okay. Let's see here. Cleanspark at 31 exahash. What do you expect the rest of the 6 exahash to come online this year? Management has been consistently hitting targets. Yeah, remainder of this, we could see some increase here in November. Matt posted a picture of the guys installing machines there. A lot of machines. So that was good. And yeah, I think we're going to see that this month and next month as well. Their target is still, is it 37 exahash, I think, this year? By the end. Let's see. Okay. Question. I looked at the charts. Run started for BTC on October 13th, 2023, and miners started moving November 13th. Oh, last year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see your question. If miners will not make money, then all the other businesses, including MicroStrategy ATH, have no value. They have to go up at some point. Your view. I mean, they're there to process transactions, not really process transactions, but just to secure the network, more or less, right? So yes, they need to make money. If they're not making money, they're going to be going away, but then it's kind of an equilibrium there as well. If miners fall off, right, the network hash rate is going to drop because of it if miners falls off. So in theory, the ones that are left over will do better, but yeah, I mean, they got to be incentivized to make a revenue, to make a profit. If they're not incentivized to do that, then it's not going to be, you're going to be going back to where people are doing it on their regular home computers. Let's see here. Soda asks, I have 945 Cleanspark shares at 15 and 32,000 cash. Should I buy more at 13 or could it drop further? Why is Cleanspark selling off but not Mara? This is my life savings. That's also my life savings too for all the stuff that I'm into, right? I have it in crypto, I have it in miners, and I'm up here with how deep I am into it. Cleanspark, could it go down further? Yeah, it could definitely go down more, right? So I wouldn't ever put everything in all in at once. You're much better off if you dollar cost average into it. So that would be kind of my advice, but it's not really advice. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but that's kind of what I would do. Okay. All right. What else we got here? Okay, question. Mara's at 594 BTC this month versus Cleanspark 443. Shouldn't Cleanspark be closing the gap on exahash this month? They should be getting closer, right? They're at 30 some exahash right now. They should be getting to like 34, 35 the next month, finishing it out to get to 37. And Mars already at 40 exahash, but Mars probably installing also because they're trying to get to 50 exahash by the end of the year as well. So it is definitely a battle between those two. All right. IREN earnings on the 27th. Is it 27th or the 28th? I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I thought it was like the 28th. Okay. Okay, question. I understand that IREN doing an ATM because they have no HODL, but Bitfarms has HODL and calls. Why would they not use that as collateral instead of another ATM, and I would exit same day? Yeah, I mean, what is that valued for them right now? How many do they have? They have, let's see. As of last month, they had, where's Bitfarms? HODL of 1,000, almost 1,200, something like that. So it's valued 100 million. Yes, they could use that, and they're using the, they're doing, what is it, not the calls, what are they doing? They're trading it. What is that called? I think you put it in here. No, they're doing something with that. God, what is it? It's not staking it. You guys know what I mean. Bitfarms is doing that over there. They have that, and they're, yeah, I don't know. They do have 100 million of it roughly right now. Could they be using it to grow? But what if Bitcoin goes up in value, goes 2x from here? That could be 200 million, and if they add more to it, right? It's, yeah, I don't know. All right, what else we got here? Let's see. Sebastian, is it true, adjusted for inflation, Bitcoin hasn't topped its all-time high? I mean, if you look at the all-time high was 69,000, right? Depending when you look at it. I mean, we're going back now, what, 12 years from the beginning of Bitcoin? I think it's definitely outperformed the inflation. I mean, inflation has been on average 2 to 3% a year, given that. And we had spike here in the last couple of years where we reached, what is it, 9% inflation, something like that, 10%. But overall, I think it has outperformed the inflation. What else? Bear with me. I'm trying to catch up here with some of the questions. Okay. Let's see. Question, do you sleep? So many questions. Well done, Sebastian. Like smashed. I appreciate it. Thank you. I do sleep. What time is it? 10:56? We're doing actually pretty good on time right now. We're not too bad. I think our longest was like 2 hours that we went here. We're only at an hour 15 roughly. All right. What else we got? Okay. Let's see here. If you could go back in time, would you have avoided BTC miners completely and go super ultra long on MSTR and BTC? Well, I own BTC now, right? I have BTC since 2017, 2018. So I've been super long on BTC. I've held on to it through the cycles. I'm sure there's people that have had it since like 2013 or something like that. But I've been super long on BTC. MicroStrategy, yeah, I mean, that one, if I could have gone back and know what's going to happen, I probably would have gotten into MSTR, yes, and then rotated back into the miners like others are doing, right? That's just a whole game theory there. They're doing one thing here, moving their profits back into the miners. Miners go up in value, MicroStrategy goes down. They plow the profits back into MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy goes up. Rinse and repeat, man. Yeah. Things you know in hindsight, right? But I still think historically, last cycle miners do better than MicroStrategy. I'm expecting the same thing to happen this time. Could I be wrong? Yes, of course I could be wrong. All right. What else we got here? Question. Okay, here we go. Now, remember they finally said Bitcoin. Let me see. They finally let Bitcoin run. Big money will let the miners run too soon. That's the thought process there. Let's see. Bitcoin's about to smash 99,000. It's still at 98,800. It won't happen on this live stream. Tomorrow we might do a live stream. If we hit 100,000 Bitcoin, I might do a live stream tomorrow. Normally I don't do it on Fridays as people are relaxing, enjoying the weekends, celebrating that the week is over with. Let's see your question. Devastation, but then it's not like we haven't seen it before. Just need to chill, ignore, and wait for it to pass. Yes. I don't know if that's a question. I think that's more comment. There. All right. Mark says, Seb, you're such a kind and innocent man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Maybe sometimes I'm too kind for my own good, maybe. Let's see a question. Do you think every miner which do convertible notes by itself will start to rip? That's a good question there, right? We saw it with Mara. What if other miners do it? What if Cleanspark does it? What if IREN does it, right? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's still too early to tell. But if we continue to see Mara continue to go up in value as the other miners go down, okay, there might be something to it then. All right. Let's see. At what point would it not make sense to short the miners? Why don't institutions see the gain potential on the miners and pump them? They are relatively small cap. They will pump them. They play the long game here. Not really long game, but they play both sides of it, right? So they're going to pump something like they're pumping MicroStrategy and Bitcoin right now, and then eventually they'll pump, they'll rotate out of those into miners, pump those up as other ones come down, and miners go up. Then they'll rotate back into that and try to get as much of that happening as they can to get as many dollars as they can. What else? All right, let's see. Seb is SDIG, so Stronghold is still buy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're being bought out by Bitfarms there. So if you want to buy them, I think you get a 2.5 something conversion rate on it. So for every share you have of Stronghold, you get 2 point something of Bitfarms like that. question. So if we wait until January, February for the miners to pick up, I think that would be like the what do I want to call that? That would be the furthest I would possibly look for the miners to at that point to do well. If they don't do better here recently in the shorter time frame, right? I would give it just about to that point to see if maybe it is the Q4 results that really need to be seen by these huge money makers at that point. Let's see. China CORZ positive for BTC. Yep, I saw that as well. As regards the 100,000 it's a major number, and whilst it would be immense to fly through, it's likely we'll keep banging up to 100,000 for a while. Once through expected 120. Yeah, there might be some definitely resistance there. 100,000. That's definitely a psychological level for a lot of people. Getting to that point, people are like, I've had this half a Bitcoin, whatever it is, whatever Bitcoin. It's like I can pay off my car, I can do this, I can do that, whatever it is at 100,000. They're gonna be happy with it. So there might be some definite selling pressure there. Okay, so hey Seb, dumped my IREN shares and bought Mara when it dropped to 19. You have to wait for your opportunities. Yep, I totally agree. All right. What are the fees at for the miners right now? How many BTC in fees do the miners get per exahash? And it's not per exahash; it's per block that they get. So if you look at the fees here, Bitcoin fees. Let me refresh the ones that I have here. Let's take a look at it here. So the fees right now, if we look at the 3 months, 1 month, they're going up, which is good, right? But they're still not up to where we'd like to see them. They're at 22 BTC today, or at least this is, I think it's today. Yeah, November 21st. 22 BTC. We were up higher than that. I'd like to see them around probably like the 40 to 50 BTC per day. I think that'd be great for the miners. But we'll take what we can get. Anything that's higher than where we were back here at just a couple BTC, we'll take it. That's all extra money for them. At that point. All right, what else we got here? We're getting close to the end of the questions here. Okay. Question: investors are finally realizing a few shipping containers, massive share compensation, and constant excessive dilution just isn't worth the higher risk of volatility. Well, could be. But also when you look at it, when they do start making, $100 million a month here in revenue, when we can get stuff to 150,000, 200,000 or something like that, you don't think that's going to also play very well for them? All right. Bitfarms still a good buy. Not as good as I would have liked it to be. I think it's still way undervalued along with other miners here. If we look at the enterprise value on the miners, where is it at? Miners, enterprise value. It is right there. Okay, so there's enterprise value. You got Bitfarms number 1 here for future hash rate growth. Cleanspark number 2 along with Hive. IREN number 49 as of today. As of today's stock prices on these guys. So, yeah, they're still way undervalued in my opinion, along with Marathon, Riot as well, and everybody else down below on that. Oh, I'm not sharing the screen with you guys. What the heck? Okay, here we go. So you can see that. That's kind of what I'll look at. Future hash rate based on enterprise value for these guys. Way undervalued still. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of my water. My throat's going to get dry. All right, let's go back to Q&A. We're almost finishing up here. All right. Let's see, questions. So we're going to wait until January, February for the miners to pick up. What if the miners bottom until then? Next screen, text screen again, game over. What if they bottom until then? Well, if they bottom and then they go up from there, is that what you're saying? That would be great. People could possibly dollar cost average more into it. That's kind of, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I have this kind of thought process in my head that maybe these institutions are trying to beat them down as much as they can so they can buy as much as they can in order to then let them rip. Time will tell, right? Let's see, Patrick says, yeah, today like a shopping day. Hope every day everyone bought some. I loaded more on IREN, Bitfarms, Cleanspark. Okay, great. Yeah. I look at these dips as buying opportunities. I still believe that we're still early in the cycle, right? We're only in 6 months past the halving event. This is when we should be starting to rip, and we just gotta be patient. Okay, what else? Let's see. Mark says, our question: I'm starting to look at late bloomer investments. If Bitfarms doesn't improve exahash at all from today, if Bitcoin hits 200,000, what is your price target for Bitfarms? If they don't improve at all, if they stay where they are right now, and we got network hash rate going up, okay, that's gonna be a hard pill to swallow at that point. And Bitcoin's 2x. I would hope they would at least 2x from where they are right now. 2 to 3x at the most if they're not growing. Because that Bitcoin going up will rise all miners. Better ones more so than some of the less performers, I guess. All right. Let's see your question. How exactly does big money hold down a stock? Love what you do, Seb. Oh, thank you very much. And so the way to hold it down is they sell shorts, or they put in bid orders for selling it shorter, right? Lower price. They have a lot more shares than we do, so they can control it much more. I mean, institutions right now hold on a lot of these guys like 50+% of the shares there. So they can control it. They can do really what they want to do with it, unfortunately. What else? Trying to get to other questions. Okay, here we go. If I want to gamble, MOG, MIGI, Solana, which do you choose? Mogo, I don't know. I haven't looked into that one. I think you asked that question yesterday. Mawson, I do know. Solana. I would say, right? Is that Mawson? MIGI? Is that Mawson that I'm thinking of? I think it is. Let me see here. Do that. MIGI. Yeah, Mawson Infrastructure. Yeah. Mawson got a lifeline through an HPCI deal here recently. Soluna has been doing really well also recently, and that's mainly because they've been getting partnerships with other businesses to help them grow their Bitcoin mining, HPCI, and things like that. But I would need to do a lot more research on those. I mean, yeah, I would possibly go with, without knowing what Mogo is, I would probably go with maybe Soluna, maybe. Mawson has been transitioning more into hosting and things like that. Not a fan of that. What else? Question, Sebastian, given how miners are seriously underperforming, are you planning on selling them, or I'm guessing you're not? I'm not planning on selling anything right now. If anything, I'm looking to buy more if I had more cash. Okay. Let's see here. When's the time to admit the next cycle miners are the bad play? Coin, BTC, MicroStrategy, and believe it or not, Doge are the only assets that go crazy. Yeah, if it happens to, I mean, this cycle is going to be a telling cycle, right? If the miners don't rip like we think they're going to be, then yeah, this is going to be one, really, really tough on the miners themselves, but also for the people that have gone into it. There's probably thousands of us in here that have gotten into the miners based on what we saw last cycle. So, right. And hopefully you guys are still in profit somewhat. I was stubborn enough and maybe lucky enough as well to start buying into these guys back in January of 2022. So I'm still in profit. So that's why it's a little bit easier for me to hold. But somebody that's in the red and is going down even more, that's a lot more challenging, right? So I understand. Let's see. Super diagnostics, I appreciate it, but I can't repeat that on air. What else? Okay, here we go. Question, don't you think there's too much or too many new variables with the cycle to expect the same performance miners had back in 2021? No more free COVID-19 money for retail to trade ETFs, MicroStrategy, and there's well, if that was the case, look at the miners right now where they were compared to where they were back then in the peak, right? Their market caps are higher actually. So there is more money in the space. It's just, where is it being allocated to right now? And right now it's being allocated to MicroStrategy, which is being valued at what, 80 billion right now? 80, 90 billion, right? Whatever it is. Yeah, I don't think it's close to, I think it's, yeah, right around there. 80 to 100 billion right now being valued at that. And the miners combined, the ones that I cover at least here, are only like what, 24, maybe 30 billion, if that. And that's, you got a lot of companies there. So you got to look to see where the money's being put into on this. And then also the ETFs, Bitcoin's going up in value. The money's going there as well. And it could be where we have it where, maybe, I'm just throwing this out idea right now, just kind of popped in my head. But what if we do get a pullback in Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin gets to 100,000, 120,000, we get a pullback of 10, 20%. All those profits could possibly go back into the miners, possibly. And that goes back up. Not all of it, but percentage, maybe a percentage of it. Right, what else we got here? Can miners end up being a dud? Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, right? Nothing's out of the question here on this. But again, like I keep saying, we're still early in the cycle. This is right around the time the miners should be pumping. They're not pumping right now, but that doesn't mean they won't pump in the next couple of weeks, maybe a month or two. So we just need to give it a lot of time, I think, and then see how things play out. Super Diagnostic says, yeah, this is the time when we all need our big boy pants on. Yep. What else? Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. So what do you think Bitfarms should be worth right now, just considering the Stronghold acquisition, or do you think it's already priced in? Thanks. I don't know if it's priced in on that one. I think it should be valued more just on their operations and what they're generating, but they're not. But then again, so are a lot of the miners this year as well. The only ones that are kind of overpriced were the ones that were playing on the HPCI hype. Those guys went on a crazy run. It just didn't make any sense there without having any concrete news of a hyperscaler or a huge customer to warrant that kind of price other than just hype, right? So it is a weird cycle here. Okay, let's see here. Hey, Seb, I have my cousin, Guido, who can take care of the trolls on the sites for a small fee. Interested? No, I'm not getting rid of my Bitcoin. Let's see. Okay, I've noticed the Cleanspark often rises in overnight and pre-market trading, but once the market opens, it spikes briefly before sellers drive it down. Yeah, I see the same thing. I saw that in the last couple of trading days. It's not just them; it's also the other miners. That's why I'm saying we're being manipulated to an nth degree here on these guys. Okay. All right. Hi, Seb from Sweden. Hi, how you doing? Why is Cleanspark lagging when BTC takes new all-time every day? You're the best. I appreciate it. Thank you. And it's got to be we're being suppressed by shorts and the leverage plays on other things as well. That's the only thing I can think of here because it doesn't make any sense. I could understand it if it's, one or two miners are doing poorly, or even a couple, right? 3 or 4 doing poorly, but then the ones that are really performing well, growing and everything else, those guys are going up. Okay. That makes a little more sense. But when you have the whole sector here being down, Bitcoin's going up, there's some shenanigans going on at that point. There's nothing else that answers the reason why this would happen. Let's see. Especially, should I consider shifting from Cleanspark to Mara? It seems Mara has fewer sellers compared to Cleanspark. Maybe, but how long will that last, right? If you're chasing, I'm always hesitant to chase on it. But that's definitely your call, right? If you feel like that's going to be maybe a better bet there, definitely go ahead and do that. I think Mara is going to be great, just like Cleanspark. I think is going to be doing really well. Mara definitely has the name recognition, the bigger HODL, and it seems like they're improving their operations right now. So that's also good on them. That's kind of one of the things I've always hounded Mara on was their operations, and it seems like they're improving those, which is good. All right, what else we got here? Okay, let's see. David says, yeah, markets open normal Monday, Tuesday, and okay, Wednesday. So we do close early on Wednesday. All right, surprise. I thought we'd be open full day on Wednesday and then partial day on Friday. What's on Friday? Are we closing on Friday or is it partial day? David, I said, what's it like being a nanny to a bunch of whiny children? I got children, so I know what it's like. So I have the patience of a saint, maybe, because of that. What else we got here? Okay, I think I caught up to all you guys' questions here. All right, we're going on almost an hour and a half here, so I'm gonna call it a day. I need to get some rest here, you guys. So we'll see where we end up tomorrow. Where's Bitcoin at right now? Bitcoin's still not at 100,000. Nope, 98.9. Okay, so maybe tomorrow we'll reach it. If we do, tomorrow I'll do a live stream with you guys. I think it might be fun. Where am I at here? This is what I wanted to do. But yeah, like I said, I think we're still early in this cycle. I know it doesn't feel great. I'm looking at my stocks and everything else that I have, and we were up nicely last week. And then this week it's like I'm down, like on paper at least, 200,000. It's like, oh, man, why can't it just continue to go up? But it's testing us for sure. It's testing me. And hopefully we get rewarded by the end of it all. I hope it's all for naught. If that's the case, well, then it's going to be a big bummer. But hopefully at least you guys are up somewhat on these miners, depending when you got into them. So if you're down, I understand. It is painful. I was there from January 2022 all the way through the end of December of that year, where the miners were going down. I was dollar cost averaging into these things. I was down on some of these guys. I think Bitfarms was down like 80% at one point, but I continued to dollar cost average into it. I was down in Cleanspark like 60%, continued to dollar cost average into it. And now on Cleanspark, I'm still up like 200%. I was up almost 300% last week, but things have came back down. But I'm still up on Bitfarms and IREN, at least in like the 30s, 40s, and 50% ranges. For the most part, I haven't gone negative here in a while. But yeah, I understand. It's definitely painful. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If Bitcoin does get to 100,000, we'll celebrate. I'll do a live stream. Maybe we'll just do a regular Ask Me Anything kind of stream at that point. We'll celebrate the 100,000 mark. And it'll be a great way to start the weekend. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming in. Love you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. I hope the Bitcoin goes to 100,000. I hope the miners, my gosh, I hope the miners rocket for you guys tomorrow as well if that happens. All right, but I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great one.